Thank you for joining early. I always appreciate um, when webinars or events of um, great importance are created, and then we have people joining in time. It encourages the organizers, you know. So thank you for joining in time. On our own side, we are going to respect the time that you have given to us and ensure that we start accordingly. For everyone who is joining the call right now, it means that you are intentional about setting yourself up for success in spite of um, in spite of the news and realities that you may be seeing or experiencing with regards to the topic of conversation today, which is AI. And we will be approaching these conversations today from a perspective of positivity and opportunities and looking at exactly how we can make the most of what is available. To do a quick introduction of who has brought you here. This webinar is organized by Covenant Capital and Learn to Earn. Covenant Capital is the body under the Covenant Nation password by Pastor Podriemade, right? And the body's responsibility really is to bring as much intervention to both the congregation and the community with which the congregation lives in. And so we know that we have people who are joining us not just across Nigeria, but also internationally on this call. Whether you're a member of TCN or whether you're not a member of TCN, you're welcome to this webinar. And then also in collaboration, we're working with Learn to Earn, who is a is a child, or I say a brainchild of Ian Boyeji, and we'll have more information about Learn to Earn as the session continues. Um, what I would want you to do, I am going to drop a quick poll in right now, and to set the tone for what our conversation of today will be like. And I want you all to go ahead and interact with it. You should see it on your screen. If you see it on your screen, I will start getting the responses immediately. So please go ahead and interact with it. Let me get your responses. Yeah, great. Thank you for those who are responding already. The poll says, and I'm going to read it out. It says, how when you think about AI tools like ChatGPT or automated workflows in your specific field, what is your primary feeling, right? The first option says pure anxiety. I'm worried my role will be downsized or replaced entirely. Second one says neutral. I know it's changing things, but I don't know how it affects me. The third one says purely opportunity. I'm ready to use it to move faster and earn more, right? We're just going to open that just another. Okay, yeah. Says this is going to be open for a minute, 30 seconds. We're just down by 1 minute and we have 30 more seconds. Please, guys, please go ahead and interact with the poll. Let us know how you are thinking of the topic of our conversation today. Great, great. 15 more seconds. We have 29 total responses. We have 50 people on the call. Let's engage the poll. Great. I'm going to close the poll now. Okay. So, out of 30 people who responded, as you can see, out of 30 people who responded, 25 people are enthusiastic about opportunities, and 5 people are neutral. You say it's changing things, but I don't know how it affects me. And this is good. This is definitely a great perspective to have with regards positioning yourself with AI. And so, but we're not going to just leave it to my own opinion, right? We're great. We're not just going to leave it to my opinion. We have subject matter experts in the room, and we will meet them shortly. Um, we were so for those who joined last session, we were able to get Boyeji's opinion on exactly how AI should be positioned in business. Those are for those who joined the founders and business session that we had last week, Saturday. But if you're joining this session for today, we were supposed to have Ian join us. However, he is currently indisposed. He also have joined us live today, but he is currently indisposed. However, we do have the head of technology for Learn to Earn who would speak to us later down the line um, and share a little bit about the work that they're doing. All right, great. Um, just so that we can set a tone for ourselves, if you are a Christian and a believer, you would understand the value of confessions. And if you're not a Christian and a believer, just take it as a an activity that sets the tone for how you engage the session today. All right, so let's just take the short confession on the screen. It says, I have a mind of Christ, and so I am quick to understand. I am favored with great skill, and so I create value upon the earth. I come to the fullness of God's will over my life. All right, great. So, just a quick run. Who am I? My name is Enoch Afolabi. And as for the work that I do with Covenant Capital, Deputy Dean basically just means that everything that has to do with digital skills, I do drive that intervention and activity. Outside of Covenant Capital, I am a growth and commercial lead in the tech space. Great. All right. So we would move straight into the panel session so that we can make the most of today's time. And to set a tone, let me just take this back. So to set a tone for what to expect in today's session, we have a panel of guests who are coming from different perspectives, right? We have an AI consultant who's, who has done many years in research and implementing AI solutions at different capacity and different skills. We have a will I say, both engineering consultant and also talent consultant who has been responsible for helping um, top organizations across the world not only fill in talents, but also meet the gaps in engineering. So it comes with a perspective of what employers are looking for and also the space of how engineering actually drives the work and results of businesses. And then we also have um, uh, a panelist who has been helping businesses through their digital transformation processes, adopting different technology solutions at different levels, right? And also supporting talents as well, because, digital transformation also doesn't just talk about the engineering adoption, but also upskilling the talents and the workforce of the organization. So we have panelists from different perspectives. So they will be talking from those different perspectives. And so if wherever you need or find yourself in, make sure you make the most of the insights that they'll share. And also have the questions now you were told ahead, come with questions that are very unique to you. Then after that panel is done, we would have the head of tech who will come on to head of tech for Learn to Earn, who will talk to you about the opportunities in Learn to Earn. An int, the opportunity is in the name, Learn to Earn. All right. So you want to stay for that. Then after that, we are going to go into a live demonstration of workflows, how best to use AI, as not just a tool for Google's for searching, but as another arm that supports the work that you do, like just having access to a PhD student who does supports the work that you're doing, right? And we would have a live demonstration of different workflows that you can adopt that, optimize your capacity and also gives you a competitive edge. So I'm going to move on to introduce our panel at this time, right? And yes, I'm going to move on to introduce our panel at this time. And our panelists, when you join the call, you can just respond and then turn on your video. Thank you very much. All right. So first, we're going to be having Dr. Olumide. Um, one thing I'll say is that Dr. Olumide goes beyond just being an has an impressive pedigree. Is also an interesting person. With the little I've known since we having conversations with the person who did introduce me to who he is, and I'm just going to read his profile a little for you to understand. So Dr. Olumide Okubadejo is an AI consultant with over a decade of experience building and deploying AI systems across Africa, Europe, and the US. He holds a master's and PhD in artificial intelligence from the UK and France, as well as a master's in strategy and innovation. He has led AI teams at Spotify in Paris, Butler in San Francisco, and Sabi, which he had products, data, and AI. He builds he builds AI native software for African organizations and leads work on agentic AI infrastructure across multiple companies on the continent. His earlier work includes pioneering voice banking and speech synthesis for African languages. Olumide advises companies on AI strategy, product architecture, and the practical deployment of intelligent systems in emerging markets. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Olumide.
Thank you very much. So happy to be here.
Thank you very much. All right, so I'm going to move to introducing Ushase Timbe. Now, for those who joined the session last week, you know that Ushase also joined that session as well. That's how you also know is a versatility. Yes, tongue twisters. All right. So Ushase is a product and AI leader with deep experience in building, training, and implementing intelligent systems. He leads product cycles, vision of helping individuals and organizations move beyond AI awareness into real execution and measurable value. With a track record of training thousands of professionals and delivering production AI systems, Yushase brings a pragmatic, outcomes driven approach to AI transformation. He spent 4 years at OPEX Consulting Limited as head of products, leading digital transformation and management consulting engagements, including ISO 26515 and CMMI implementations for financial institutions such as Access Bank, GT Bank, and Fidelity Bank. Thank you so much, Ushase, for joining the call again. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Thank you. Thank you enough for having me.
All right.
Yeah.
It looks like today you're not in
Afternoon.
you're not outside this time around. It looks like you're in your comfort space today.
Yes. It's better today.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So
Thank
I'm
you.
going to introduce Williams. Um, I've known Williams for a couple of years and he's doing an incredible work. And I'll tell you. So Williams Nwogbo, who, my brother, please, if I Yorubalize that surname, pardon me. All right.
That's fine. That's fine.
Is the founder and
That's fine.
CEO of ProDevs, a talent and workforce solutions company connecting African professionals to global and local opportunities. Over the years, he has helped connect 700 plus professionals to jobs and projects while supporting companies such as Deloitte, PwC, Sterling Bank, and other startups and enterprises with recruitment, outsourcing, and engineering solutions. With over a decade of experience in software engineering and business growth, his work focuses on building systems that create access to opportunities, drive innovation, and support the future of work across Africa and beyond. Guys, you can as well see the quality of our panelists today is superb. I'm just going to go on and just create a scene of focus for us. Great. Thank you all for, taking the time this is your Saturday to be here with us. I'm just going to jump right into the conversation so that we can make the most of the time that you have provided us. All right, great. So we will run through a couple of questions and some of these questions have actually come out of inquiries that our registrants for this webinar have put ahead. And we hope that while answering the questions, everyone will find themselves in the answers that you provide. And so we will start off right out of the bat, right? The first major question, which is, is AI coming for my jobs? And I think that how I want us to think about how we would answer this question is, aside from saying, is understanding what, categories of the professional work, are genuinely at their highest risk of being replaced, or significantly reduced by AI, in the coming next 2 to 3 years. The way I want us to answer this is, how do we identify, like, what attributes helps us identify which work AI will replace? And I want to shoot this question to Olumide to answer.
I think that if I had a dollar for every time that somebody asked me, is AI coming for my job, I think that I'll be a very rich man right now. Uh, but I think not, right? I think that we've gone through this over the years. We've gone through a space of, revolution where, things that we thought were going to happen didn't happen, or, people just wanted to change the way that, that the world was working. So there's this feedback.
There's a difference.
But,
Okay,
so
found the person.
Okay, perfect. All right. I remember a time where, we used to ride horses, right? And then maybe cars came and people were asking, are we still going to need horses? Are we still going to do this? Are we still going to do that? The world has changed a lot, and the world continues to change. And the one factor that, would continue to surface as well is not that, is it coming from my job, but it is the fact that the nature of jobs will change,
Right.
right? It's not coming for your specific job, but the entire landscape of a job. What
Okay.
is a job
Okay.
will change or is changing.
Okay.
2 weeks ago, I was in the US and this conversation surfaced again. And, my thought as well is that one of the things you see with AI now is that when you see tasks like generating documents, when you have, tasks that are, yeah, I would say, I don't want to say pedantic, but tasks that, don't need, no, I mean programming as well. When you see tasks that it's just really it's not regurgitation, but they're voluminous tasks. They're
Okay.
things that have volume. You see that AIs are beginning to do a lot in that space. But one of the things that you also see is that the definition of a software engineer in this case has changed from somebody who is able to write code to somebody who has the right taste in what good code is.
Right.
And that's a different thing, right? And it is not the fact that that job changed or they came for the job. It's just that the entire definition of what that job role is changed. Um, right now, if I want to hire a software engineer, I'm looking for somebody who knows how to define what good code is. I'm not looking for someone who can code 17 languages. It doesn't work anymore. It's not a criteria anymore. What is a criteria is somebody able to have the right mental structures in place, put the right structures in place for AI to be able to generate code, but also has a very good definition of good to be able to come back and understand whether what was generated was good or bad. It's the
Right.
same thing in document generation. It's the same thing in, people are generating documents these days and forgetting, forgetting to remove just a couple of things that would show that it was AI generated. And so that shows you that jobs, the landscape of jobs are changing, but the way that it relates back to a human, a specific person, is that now there is an emphasis on taste. There is an emphasis on, do you know what good is? There's an emphasis on thoughtfulness. There's an emphasis on seeing the bigger picture, right? And I see that this is happening to a lot of jobs. The jobs that are, I would say, hyper specific,
Okay.
are somehow being, erased in code or being enlarged.
Okay.
And the enlargement will come because right now you can see that an AI can write front end, an AI can write back end. I
Hmm.
spend my weekend, building stuff. I love to build. But right now I realize that, I could build the back end, the AI, the front end, not because I am a good front end developer, but because I know what good front end code looks like. You
Right.
know, I and so the entire landscape of the jobs are changing. And I think that also it is the age of the generalist. People need to expand capacity, not capacity in depth right now, capacity
Mhm.
in breadth as well. So you need to
Yep.
understand what good is, but you also need to look at the adjacents of your job and say, what do I need to add to my job that allows me to see the bigger picture? Right?
Mm.
CEOs are
Okay.
the most happy with AI because they're largely big picture people. And so you see CEOs say, hey, now I have an AI marketing analyst. Now I have an AI this. Now I have AI that. And the reason is because they see the big picture and they're now able to integrate, AIs into different bits that allows them to, expand their capacity more.
Awesome.
So the framing of that question, I'll just recap is it is not coming for your job in the way that, people are thinking, oh, my job is going to be eliminated. I think the job descriptions are going to be expanded. A few jobs are
Hmm.
going to merge together. And as this is happening, it is now imperative on the individual to also expand capacity. Capacity in depth, not being hyper specific, but capacity in knowing what a good job is in the specific role that you are doing. What does
Right.
it mean to have a world-class output here? But as well, you need this horizontal, this horizontal expansion as well, or vertical expansion, whatever, where you also look at the adjacent jobs to your job, but you also begin to master a good definition of what is good in that as well. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Olumide. I think I appreciate the fact that you went on to summarize what the response to that is. AI will take over a lot of the larger volume millions job, and then it's important for the human being to then take the strategic position of managing the process. So that we can do a little bit of housekeeping, which was my own fault. Going forward, we would need to work with us 2 minutes to try and answer the questions so that we can burn through as many questions as possible. Okay, so most of you going through the next question. One of the recurring themes that we have with, with the responses that we got with the registrants was the phase staying relevant. You know, uh, but the question then that we have is relevant to whom? Is it to the employer or to a broader market? And this, when I think about this, I'm thinking we understand what AI is, or we've seen what AI is doing right now. But there's also the reality that it disrupts things so very fast that then we are thinking, okay, are you trying to build relevance for your current employer, or is it the entire, market, or are you exploring being a freelancer? The question then is, how should a mid-career professional, actually define relevance, from this 2026 going forward? What's the first signal that tells you that your current skill is becoming obsolete? I'm going to move this to Williams to answer.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so I think the way I'll think about relevance is also outcomes, right?
Mm,
Um, so for an individual, right? One of the things AI does, which we all know is it gives us speed, right? But if you have speed in the wrong direction, that's not speed, right?
mm,
So the way I think about it is what outcomes are you producing with the tools or the acceleration tools that's been given to you, right?
right.
And I'll think about it from, the employer's perspective to say, okay, an employer is giving you some acceleration tools, let's say ChatGPT, Claude, and the rest, right? To do your work, to create workflows and the rest. What outcomes are you producing with that? Right? And I can even go further to even give an example to say, okay, two individuals, one given, the same set of tools, one is using it to just generate captions. The other one is using it to, understand, campaigns, looking at how an organization can either, generate more money, save cost, also optimize time. So for you to stay relevant, right? One of the things you have to think about is
Mm,
one, the tools that have been given to you today, right? How are you producing outcomes for that organization, right? And then another thing to also note is, um, visibility, right, within that organization. Okay, so if I have these tools and I'm producing results for my organizations, how am I showcasing, these are the results or these are the optimization tactics that are put in place to help the organization either save cost, you know, generate more money, or even save time, right? So you have to put it out there. So if you're in the job market, one of the things you have to look out for is on your CV, elaborate what were your outcomes when you were here, when you were
Mm-hmm.
volunteering, when you were in an organization. Put all of these things in place because it helps whoever is reviewing or assessing you know, okay, these are the outcomes that you produced when you were here. And for the organization when you're within, always think about outcomes. The tools I have today, what outcomes can I produce with it? Yeah.
Think outcomes. When you're thinking about the tools, you want to think, well, how exactly can I optimize the current role that I have with the tools available to me, and maybe, improve the kind of results that we're getting. Great answer.
Exactly.
Thank you for that. So we're going to move to the next. Still talking about mid-career professionals, right? Um, so hypothetically, say a 32-year-old finance analyst, or an HR manager, you know, is sitting in the audience right now. All right. What are the three most important moves they should make in the next 90 days to protect their career from AI disruption? Just quick questions. Shall I know you're familiar with the way these disruptions work and adoptions work across organizations. So can you go ahead and just answer that question?
All right. Thank you very much. I must say I'm excited to be here today again, having this conversation about AI, especially with the category of persons that are on call here today. We are looking at new talent professionals. And I'm excited also because AI has really changed my life as a
Mm,
person. And I would just like to respond to that question by first saying that you need to study and understand the business and the industry you find yourself in,
mhm.
uh, because the application of AI is not the same for two businesses or organizations.
Right.
And for instance, in Sophia, that is in IT, there's a governing this governing framework called Sophia, skills for the information age. It defines about 120 plus career paths just in IT. And each of these career paths is a category that can be broken down into 5 or 10 sections. So one of the greatest confusions you find is that when you come into IT is so broad. And when you decide to even choose a path, for instance, I say I want to be a software developer, then you are faced with the question, which programming language? Is it Python? Is it JavaScript?
Hmm.
Uh, is it PHP or whatsoever? And that's the same thing with AI. Now, when we say AI means many things. AI means automation. AI means AI engineering. AI means simply using AI tools.
Hmm.
AI could be ChatGPT for someone else.
Yeah.
So you need to understand. Now, AI is a thing, but as a professional, as a finance person, as a HR, you need to understand your organization and what are the bottlenecks in your organization, and especially how your organization is setting up to adopt AI. There are some organizations that are not yet open to adopt AI, right? And that might be a challenge for someone who is in that particular organization who wants to adopt AI. For instance, your organization doesn't want you to use ChatGPT to build documents. Your organization doesn't is not interested in any automation. Then you
Mm,
need to ask yourself, should I stay here or should I move on? For
mm,
instance, at the brink of AI, I had to do a transition from
mm,
my work because I had a vision of how I wanted to position myself in the AI age. And I realized that where I was working, though it was a very good place, it was not going to provide me the sufficient environment to explore
mm,
the things I needed to explore. And that was the right call for me to resign and to step into the things that I find myself.
doing to date. So you need to orchestrate your career deliberately and ask yourself, how are people applying this today? And one simple way is to go to LinkedIn and look at people in a similar line that you are. For instance, you are HR person. Those in HR across the globe, how are they applying AI today? It's a very easy way to learn how to do. And by the time you are inspired by their journey, you are inspired by their innovations and how they're transitioning in their career, then you also can begin from there. So I'm just going to pause here. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So you say understand your space, understand the goals of the company you're working with.
Yeah.
If you are working in an organization who is pro AI, fantastic for you. If
Yeah.
you're not, you want to consider the possibility of, moving tent. All right.
Yeah.
And then looking at those who are doing good results with AI and, trying to see if there's anything you can emulate there. So I think we've touched a lot on regarding, mid-level, professionals. Let's talk a little bit about engineering people. I think that those in the creative and engineering space have been hit the most, about from my own perspective, by what AI's disruption reality has brought in. And so I want to talk about our tech engineers, right? Um, the question I have in mind is, what is the best move for software developers right now? Are there, because when with everything that you know about how much volume of of code they had to churn out, and while trying to mix it with quality and every other thing that they had to be able to do, that AI could handle now. The question then is, how do you now drive relevance? What is important for software developers now? Is it for them to pay attention to new fields, or are there best case positions that they should explore taking right now? I want to push this to Olumide.
Okay, so I started my timer in the background, so I don't.
Thank you for that.
Um, I think that yes, you're right that engineers are the most hit. And I work with engineers every day, so one of the things is I see these realities, daily.
Mm,
One of the things that I feel like it is important, especially in the engineering sphere, is that engineers become multilingual. And when I say multilingual, I mean that not hyper focused on I am a front-end developer, I am a Java developer, I am a whatever. There's a point in programming where you go past languages, where you begin to see the system.
yes.
And it is very important that engineers upskill quickly to that point. I think that happened for me very early. My name used to be Olu Java because that was the language I was writing back in 2006. Everyone was like Olu Java. But I got to a point in life where you couldn't define me by the language. I could see a system and understand what needed to be built. And I
Yes.
think that very necessary that the engineers upskill themselves quickly to that level, not and also start to use AI. There are people who can use AI better than others. There are people who can churn out better code than others. There are people who can understand how to use a Claude versus a ChatGPT. Right now, I have about 4 agents. I know how each of them behaves. It is important to really drill down and understand and be specific on how to use these models. So one of the things I think is important, it's important that the engineers become generalists. That's
Mm,
the only way out. You have to
mm,
become a generalist. You have to move beyond the divides of I'm a front-end engineer. You have to embrace AI quickly and say, how can I turbocharge my development with it? And so I feel like engineers might be the worst hit, but they have the maximum opportunity to become better and more because, sorry, my time.
no, no, should it. Finish that line, please. With you, 100%.
So it is very important
No,
that
please finish the line. It's a guide
yeah.
rail, but please finish your point.
So it is very important that engineers are able to, move to that point where they become the most generalist. They are able to move beyond languages and they're able to see the system holistically. Don't just build a system. Think about telemetry, for instance. Think about tracing, think about the survival of that system beyond your code. How is this system going to survive in the next 20 years? What are the right engineering principles? I wake up in the morning and I talk to AI, and all I'm interrogating is, did I build this thing right? What did I miss?
Mm,
And those are the kinds of skill sets that would, expand engineers to even earn more and become better. So yes,
mm,
the engineers that don't fit into this, unfortunately, would might be relegated, but it is important to upskill in the generalist and the strategic directions.
mm. Thank you. I want to let ask Williams to also touch on this. However, Williams, while you make a comment on this, I also want you to then pivot into um what the reality will look like for also entry level talent. So this is definitely something that, I think prior to the obvious disruption of AI, we were already having a pandemic of entry level talent saturated being the entry level talent space was saturated, right? And now we come with AI that's even just replacing out that field entirely. So then the question then is, how exactly should entry level talents, really those who are either transitioning or those who are starting out a career in engineering, look at the positions they should take? How should they best position themselves? So you can answer that question and then also to talk about entry level talents.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so I think Olumide has done justice, with regards to, what's going on right now in the engineering space, right? From what we're seeing is a massive transition from companies needing just software engineers to AI-enabled engineers, right? So they need developers or engineers that know how to make use of these tools, and, to accelerate their development, right? And one of the
Right.
things we're also seeing is most companies now need people that take ownership, right? Because you have speed, they also want people that can take ownership of the code, understand even the users, understand the system design, just like what Olumide has said, right? But then again, on the flip side of things, one of the things we're now seeing is if you look at what's going on in Silicon Valley, there's a lot of they're downsizing. A lot of the bigger companies are downsizing. But we are on the other side, we're seeing that a lot of entrepreneurs that were scared about building, right, are beginning to use some of these tools to now build out their MVPs, right? And as they build out their MVPs, one of the things they're now considering is, oh, I need people that would maintain what I've built, right?
Mm,
So we're now seeing a small rise in the demand for even entry-level engineers and also engineers, AI-enabled engineers in itself. So
okay.
the demand is balancing out,
Mm,
right? But again, it's a gradual process. Now, with regards to the entry level, the definition of entry level is changing. That's on the
okay.
street, right? And it's still I would say it's still a work in progress, right? But one of the things that most companies are looking out for right now, especially the startups, again, one of the things we're seeing is different companies in terms of their sizes require different things from entry level people, right? So for a smaller company might want an entry level engineer that is somewhat a generalist, right? Has an idea of everything, right? Using AI, right? Might not be good at everything, but he can be supervised by senior engineers, right? And guided, right? For a corporate might just need someone fresh out of the bat that they can train, right? And that's why they have graduate training programs, right? So, but then again, again, the market defines everything.
Hmm.
The definition of entry level is changing and we're watching it closely. It means different things to different levels of organizations, and we're just observing, So all I'll just say for everyone as an entry level person is watch the market closely, upskill as much as possible, get yourself AI enabled as much as possible, take courses around being an AI enabled developer, and then optimize for what the market brings. Thanks.
Mm, thank you. Thank you for giving that direction. And I think um, w what I probably say to anybody who's looking about it is when you observe the way um, growth works in the markets, there's always cycles, right? And we're currently in a place where the market is upending and things are being defined. So you have to ensure that you are finding your foot in relevance, whatever work that you're doing. This is the time where you do not want to be in a space that is redundant or a field that is redundant. You want to be at a frontier space. That's the most strategic thing you can take. So by the time the market is fully defined what direction it wants to take, you're already at a position of relevance that you can continue to sample. Definitely something that you can add to your notes. Okay, so we're going to move to the next question. And this one is about, okay, all right. One of the registrants had a goal that he had framed out, and he said he wants to build a career that compounds. Um, Basically saying that it wants to grow exponentially, right? It says in the AI era, what does a compounding career actually look like? Where the skills, reputation, and relationships you build today make you exponentially more valuable in 3 to 5 years rather than obsolete. How does one build a compounding career? I like that Ushase had talked about his own approach to trying to drive towards relevance. So maybe you want to talk a little bit more about that. The this person is saying, I want to stay relevant in the next 3 to 5 years. How do I approach ensuring that what the moves I make, allows me to add up to relevance in the next 3 to 5 years?
All right. So a compounding career simply implies it's a mindset shift. It's all about your mindset, right? And I was just listening to what Williams and Olumide said about the change in the space of engineering, and you realize that what the world is looking for now is more of problem solvers, right? Not just people who can code. There are a lot of problems, and we need solutions to this problem. And when Olumide said, okay, it's not about what language can you write, it's about, okay, there's a problem, and what tools do I need to solve this problem? So if I need to become a Flutter developer because this problem can only be solved with mobile and a mobile app, then I get to do it because I know how to maneuver the tools. But I'm going to say back something I mentioned last week, domain knowledge. I think for me, what's most important today in the space we are is domain knowledge. And for you to build a compounding career, you need to build domain knowledge across several skill sets and industries. I've built a couple of solutions today single-handedly, especially with AI. I think if anybody has maximized AI, I'm one of those persons. And currently I manage a portfolio of projects and teams, and I just decided to build a simple solution that helps me manage all teams across different companies.
Mhm.
And I did it in a few hours, in just a day. It just came to me, okay, do this. And as I'm thinking it's happening. I don't even need to type. I just need to speak to code.
Mhm. Mhm.
So things have become so easy, but let me tell you the truth. It's easy for me because I took many years in the industry to build compounding knowledge across domains.
Right.
I've worked over the years in product. I've worked in IT consulting. I worked in cybersecurity. I've worked in with design teams for a long time. I understand the entire design language and everything you can think about in design. I'm a software developer myself. I've played with different languages, and I've worked with engineers over the years. I've worked with analysts, data analysts. So this formed my experience. This compounded my knowledge, such that what I'm feeding into the AI is my knowledge. So it's easy for me to steer it, to direct it, to do something for me. So if you want to build that, you would like to build knowledge across various domains. Another thing I'm going to say is look at people, any industry that has to do with people.
Mhm.
For instance, one of the roles that is not going to fall out is leadership role. Many years
Right.
ago, I told myself I want to build a career in tech leadership. Right now, I was going to tell you when you were introducing me to tell you that I now work at Future Africa as the head of IT. And
Oh,
now, yeah, so what
congratulations.
happened is that I did many things that brought me to here. Over that's what is called compounding. Compounding. I moved from one point to another, and I met E at a point, and compounding communications, compounding things being a founder here, doing this here. There's a point where I work for someone. There's a point where I go to the bank, did a lot of things, and touching different corners until I built experience across diverse industries, including AI. Then I could now steer teams. I could now orchestrate people and systems. So no matter the new technology that comes, people need to be orchestrated.
Mm-hmm.
Systems need to be orchestrated. And you
Mm-hmm.
can really do that without typing.
Mm-hmm.
You do that upstairs. You understand? So if you are looking for that kind of a career, you need to touch different points and you need to serve. Serve. Entry
Mm-hmm.
level, serve. Find
Mm-hmm.
somewhere, volunteer, find somewhere, do internship. Internship is simple. Find someone that has a job and support. Don't wait for a company, Google to give you internship. Now, until you provide something, you need to provide GitHub repo. You need to provide a Figma link to get a job. You need to provide something. Entry level means you provide something. And when we say you are good, we will have something, I'm going to stop at that. It's really defined it for me. Entry level is changing. It's no longer about years of experience. Now, what can you do? You might have 1 month of experience. If you are very good,
Mm-hmm.
we won't even ask how many years of experience. We'll just say this guy is good. He has the
Yeah.
job. So entry level can begin to earn like a pro if you are
Mm-hmm.
good. So all about getting good. So put in grind. That's what I usually say to those that I work with. I say grind yourself through that career and become so good that you become the top 1%. If you're not
Yeah.
aiming to be among the top 1%, the competition is massive. You
Yeah.
probably are going to be below and you're going to be struggling for a very long time. So grind yourself through that career and you're going to make it.
Thanks for that, Shase. I think it's funny how just 2 days ago I was telling someone that we're even though I was trying to say that what's happening is that most organizations are still trying to navigate surviving what's going on, staying afloat and making sure that the cash flow is consistent. But I
Mhm.
also just hinted that we are sort of like in the age of subject matter experts, where if you have not just subject matter, but experts rather in
Mhm.
getting our results. Because if
Yeah.
an organization knows that you can drive towards the results, this is not just about oh,
Mhm.
you are dancing around, you are moving around trying to figure out things, or you're failing forward is not bad, but as long as you know exactly where we should be going to, how you get there, we leave it to you to use the tools. So this is a very interesting conversation. I think the next question would also help um buttress a little bit about this path that we are on now. Um, this person says they want to become an AI expert in their organization, right? And this one is a little bit more tactical, and this is not just high level strategy of say, okay, do this. This is you're working in an organization at the moment, right? And you're trying to you're seeing that there are opportunities, right? And you, not just for yourself, but for the organization, that if you take this direction, if you do things like this, there's a potential for results to come in. All right. The question is, what does being an internal AI champion, look like? If you've had example of someone who has championed maybe as an intrapreneur. You know how we have people internally who are very innovative and can drive some good results within their organizations, right? You could share a little bit of that. How does one earn the title, of, being an AI champion within an organization in a way that results in real influence and, there's a promotion? I'm trying to be very straight with this one because I know that people are thinking, how can I use AI to show that I'm really good at this work. I can get out some great results. I can even probably get a promotion, right? What playbook or what example could you share? I want to move this to William to, I'm sure because I know that you've worked with different
Okay.
talents, and so
Yeah.
you would have
Yeah.
seen them do fantastic work in different organizations.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it differs, right, for different roles, right? But one of the things I've seen is, for example, for engineering teams, right? I remember in the early days, when, we're still doing front end, back end, designers, everybody doing their own thing, right? And we gave a task to the team to do. And one of the developers just picked up that task, only him, and then installed one of this coding tool, AI agent tools. And then the team was still doing their work, and it took them about a week plus, but he did that task in about 3 days,
Mm,
right? And that gave us acceleration, right? So one of the things I would say is, you know, you can start gradually. It depends on your organization, right? So, and it depends on the role that you feel or the role that you currently have, right? First thing is to look at the role, the work I do day to day. What are the things that I can start automating on a daily basis? If a task typically my boss expects me to do this in 24 hours, right? And with the tools that I have available to me today, I'm doing it under 2 hours and I'm saving the company time, and my boss can actually see the outcomes of what I produce is a lot
mhm,
better than what I used to produce before. Now you're already building gradual leverage, right? You're already producing outcomes that's moving the needle forward, right?
mm,
And again, one of the things you also have to think about is, what does an organization always want to optimize for, right? And the role that you're in, right? How does it affect the bottom line? How does it affect revenue generation? How does it affect cost savings? How does it make the company acquire or get more clients, right? What are some of the things that you can do? Right now, one of the things we're seeing with our sales team is we have a sales guy setting up multiple sales agents that typically, if he was to do this work, only him, he can only reach out to a certain number of people. With the number of agents that he has configured, he can reach out to even way much more people, right? So that is him saying, this is the work I do, but I can magnify it to AI, right? And I can produce results at the end of the day. So you need to look at the role that you're currently placed at. What are some of the workflows, automations you can put in place? What are some of the things you can do to move a lot quicker, right? Again, I'm trying to make it general and not
yeah,
just centralize it to just programming or
engineers.
just engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get, so what are some of the things you can do, right? Automate them, right? Create a workflow process around it. There are people right now that just pick up their laptops. Maybe they have the schoolwork installed on their laptop. They've created a process that this is what I do every morning. I go here, I visit this, say, get this report, come up with a dashboard that I can then present to my team. That work, how can you automate it? And typically this will take me 4 hours, 5 hours to do. But if my AI agent can do this for me under 5 minutes, and I can produce that report to the team, and we can make an informed decision, then you're moving the needle forward. Again, always think about outcomes. Don't just think about speed, because things is moving away from AI is giving you speed, yes, but what's the outcome of that speed it has given to you? That is what is
Mhm,
important,
mhm.
right? So that's, I think, my response to this. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for sharing
yeah.
that. Absolutely appreciate it. Okay. Um, I want to ask Dr. Olumide one question, and this one is, and you come with a global perspective, which is what I want to say, right? With how much disruption is happening across different industries and sectors. You understand that different sectors would pace adoption of AI differently, perhaps because of regulations, government position, and all that. Could you, it's a broad question, and I would want you can pace the way you answer the question. From a global perspective, what industries may take some time to adopt AI slower? I will tell you the reason why I'm asking that question. And then in Nigeria too as well. What industries may have a challenge with adopting AI? And then the reason why I'm asking this question is, um, does it, for those who are playing in the space, for organizations which may, or rather in industries which may, whatever, for whatever reasons, may not adopt AI as fast as possible, or the question might be wrong. It might be that there's no industry that is adopting AI slowly. Maybe everybody is actually adopting AI fast enough. Right? But for anybody who is in such a space, right, how best should they consider um, be strategically positioned in the spaces. Because we do have some people are talking about within the registrations who talk about the paces which the organization is adopting it.
Okay. Yes, it's loaded, but I think I'll do a reframe a bit. I
Okay.
think that nearly everybody is going to adopt AI. I think that there's a rate of change, and that rate of change is not static. Sorry, I want to wear my professorship hats now.
Let's go ahead. Absolutely.
That rate of change is not static. So what you would see is some people will start slower and they will hit a threshold and they would begin to go quicker. Some people would start a bit fast, but their own rate of change is a bit more constant. It's
Right.
like okay, it is going, and then some industries will wake up and they will change overnight. I think that the industries that are most likely to have this high variable rates where maybe there's a people are not adopting as much and then you get to a threshold and then people just start to adopt. I think we're going to see that in the performing arts, in
Mm,
movies. I
okay.
think you're going to see that more. There's going to be like a blockade at the beginning, which there is. I mean, uh
The creative
China released
phase.
yeah, China released a model and Hollywood sued them to court. They can't release, and that delayed the release of that model by I think around 7 to 8 months.
Mm,
When that model now gets released, there's going to be a lot of adoption that comes. And so we might say that place was slow,
mm,
but in the end, the adoption would be a lot more explosive because overnight it just feels like that industry has changed.
yeah.
I think the one thing that we need to understand is that every industry is going to get there. It's just not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But I think that it's a much harder question in Nigeria. And the reason why is that there are certain baselines that allow, AIs to be able to work and to function properly. I think that the industries, maybe industries that depend on infrastructure that hasn't yet been put in place are going to be much slower. I would say that maybe AI in the auto industry will take some time because maybe we're still dealing with power issues. Maybe maybe AI in those cars, now have to draw a lot more power somehow that we're not ready for right now, but it is going to get there. The fact is that we're all going to get there. So I think that the creative spaces, the spaces that need a lot of capital or infrastructure for them to be able to be AI functional, they would be a lot more slower. But that's even a very dangerous thing because they would now adopt it in a very explosive manner. I
Mm,
think that the key is just to as individuals, choose our own rate of change. I like the way William answered the question, how you champion AI within your organization. I think that there is maybe one layer down where you champion AI within yourself.
mm,
What are your methodologies? How do you keep current? How do you integrate it? For me, AI is my thinking partner. When I wake up after my prayers, I look for a singular thought and I drill it down to first principles using AI. And it's just that's my routine every day. It's like, and I'm just, keeping myself sharper, thinking quicker, thinking better. And I think that everyone has to have that routine or one routine that allows them to be able to integrate, whether quicker or slower. And for those who want to jackpot at some point, it is very important that you integrate it. I was the interviewer for a role in London, and it was very simple. In fact, that was one of the interviews I enjoyed most. I simply gave everybody love. It was a product management role. I just gave them lovable credits. That's all. I give you lovable credits. I give you what you need to build, and then you come to the interview and we discuss. We
mm,
discuss it. And that's it. I mean, the world has changed in the way that we are even interviewing. So I think that, it's going to get here as well. I've talked to CEOs who are already thinking, loving it and, already starting to do it as well. I know that there was a role, I think in Paystack, that was just lovable credits as well. So I think that everyone will get there. It's just the rate of change, and the rate of change is dependent on one, the infrastructure, is it available? And two, the how humans are also causing this barrier kids that yeah, we're not gonna allow this happen, which also happens, right? So yeah, thank you.
Thanks for that perspective. Wow. Even though you delay it, if you delay it long enough, adoption then busts at your face if you adopt it slower. So I want to speak to the participants. Please, you can go ahead, start asking your questions. We are going to round up this panel session in the next 10 minutes. We have one or two questions already, and I'm just going to go ahead and ask that. But in the meantime, please go ahead and ask your questions. Like you said, drill it down to your own reality. What questions do you have? All right, so we have a question from Olukayode. It says, I'm an instrumentation and control engineer in a power generation plant. Please, how can I leverage on AI to automate industrial processes and methods? What specific AI models are available for this particular field of work? How can I integrate them into the existing industrial automation architecture? Let me move this question to William.
That's a very interesting one. Okay, so I think the way I'll drill it down is I'll use AI to answer this question. So I'll first and foremost, I think the first thing I'll do is, I think I'll throw the question back at you, which is right now, what do you do, right, in that organization, right? Um, in understanding what you do in that organization, the next step will now be, okay, what are the things we can automate? What are the workflows that you do consistently that you think we can automate that will be of value to your organization, right? That's the second step, right? After asking what I do, what are the things you can automate and what can be of value to that organization, right? And then I think that's on one part. The second part is you sound like you're an engineer of some sort, right? So what that means is, I don't know specifically the tools that your team currently makes use of internally, all right? But if some of those tools already, again, I'm thinking of two things, right? Which is your organization, are they open to, their data to be used by some of these AI models? Because
Mhm.
data and governance is important for organizations. So you need to
Yeah.
know exactly, the guardrails of what you can automate in that organization and what they're open to, right? So the first thing I would say is, like I said, I'll use AI to answer that question, but understand what the role that you currently do today. What are some of the things you can automate that will be of value? And then start automating some of those things and creating those workflows, before we go towards the engineering and a bit more technical part of things. Yeah. So that's my response.
Thank you. Thank you for that response. Great. It looks like we haven't gotten any other further questions. So I'm just going to pitch one question to everyone. It's a general question. I want everyone's take on it. And maybe while you're answering that, if any other question comes in, we will take it. If not, then we'll use this to close the panel. Um, and then also just for everyone to be aware, you would see William's first response to that question. He said he would ask AI. And so for that reason, again, after this panel is done, we're having a live demonstration of workflows for professionals, right? We're going to be demonstrating opportunity intelligence. We're going to be demonstrating project management, and then we're going to be demonstrating the third one. There's a third one. Just left my thoughts. So we're just trying to demonstrate three different pillars of workflows that you can adopt. Oh yeah, and then we're going to demonstrate how to build a skill, right? So that you can leverage AI not just as search, but as a personal workforce that you maximize. All right. So the last question that we're gonna ask is, if you could give every professional in this room one irreversible mindset shift about AI and their career, not a tip, not a tool, recommendation, but a fundamental change in how they see themselves in relation to this technology, what would you say? And, this is in perspective to even the disruptions that we may not even be aware of that is going to come, or the ones that we already even know, because we're talking about this now. There's still generative Gen AI. There's still what's the name of these guys? Pardon me. The terminology just keep flying off my head. But we still have so much disruption coming up along the way. So if you could give everyone, every professional, yeah, every African professional, both here in Nigeria, across Africa, and also globally, a direction, a thought, a fundamental change, thoughts they should have about themselves and how it relates to this technology, what will it be? We can start with Olumide, then we go to Williams, and then Ushase will give this zone.
Okay, I'll try to be quick this time. I think it's fantastic technology. I feel like we are at this nexus moment in history where we have a tool that allows us to become almost whoever we want to be. Where you can think about it and you can upskill quickly. You can in one weekend, uh, start learning a new language. You can, become a strategist, by just putting the time and the effort. You can develop new lines of thought. You can develop new and novel solutions. You can become a mathematician, right? By just waking up every day and asking AI to explain a mathematical concept to you in a way that is understandable, relating it to real world scenarios. So the YDX is no longer the YDX. You now know that anything that is changing is, being differentiated, and it's the YDX, right? And so these are things that you can almost become anybody and almost anything. And the only limit right now is your mind and the limitations that you've placed on yourself. I don't want us to continue to think in the traditions of my role. I
Mm,
think you can have 8 roles. I think you can be 8 people now. I think that you can become so incredible at your job, that you are so good at 7 or 8 different things. I think it is important that we relate with the technology like this, like a tool that has been handed over to us that allows us to upskill to our European partners. I call it the great equalizer, right?
yes,
It is
yes,
one thing that we have right now that means that you can become as good as somebody in the US, as good as somebody in France, as quickly as you can think it. Um, and I think that that is the kind of relationship that we should have with it. And it comes with us as well, changing our mindset to a mindset of continuous learning and continuous development and thinking outside the box as well. I think this is one of the last things that I would just want to drop for
mm,
everyone.
thank you. Um, William,
Yeah, Olumide has done justice to it.
okay.
But what I would say is, to anybody out there still fighting AI, don't fight it, embrace it, right? Put out your thoughts, whenever you have ideas or concepts that you want to bring to life, put it out there, but don't outsource your thinking, right? Always, criticize what it comes back to you with, right? Because the more you criticize it, the better the outcomes, right? Take up do as many automations as you can with AI, right? Because you don't know where it's going to come in useful, right? Even if it's for your own personal workflows, right? Do those automations as much as you can, right? Because it will certainly come out useful, as you go along with your career journey,
Mm,
right? I think that's pretty much it. And to the engineers in the room, embrace it as much as possible. I think one thing I didn't add was, I think in our conversation was, there's now an increasing demand in the number of cybersecurity experts, right? Because of the use of
mm,
AI, right? So
right.
there's also, for those still thinking about career paths and all of that, there's that, but embrace it as much as you can, and then, don't outsource your thinking. Yeah. Criticize also.
Awesome. Thank you. Ushase,
Yes, so the theme of this today's discussion is positioning for growth with AI, and I'll just love to give counsel to the professionals in the house and aspiring professionals. And if you already occupy a role or you are already doing a job and you're looking at how to leverage AI for growth, as I've said earlier, understand your industry. When I talk about understand your industry, not just understanding the company you work for or the organization you work for. IT is an industry. Oil and gas is an industry. Construction is an industry. You need to understand the industry you are in, the industry you find yourself in, and what the growth patterns look like. What does it take to rise from where you are to the next level? And there's something interesting happening for a period of time in the industry. You can just define your role. You can create a role that does not exist and become it. When you give yourself a vision of this is what I want to become, you can just say I'm an AI generalist. Somebody started that. There's nothing like that. Just say AI generalist. What does that really mean? So you can just get up and say, I'm a this. I lack words, but just give yourself a definition. When you give yourself a definition, it tells you what you need to learn and what you need to become that thing. And just go to LinkedIn and define that role. Post about it, do things around it, and before you know, the community will observe you. People will observe you. People will see your work, and they begin to refer to you as that. So if you want to become an AI consultant, this is for those that are aspiring. You need to, if you're aspiring for a role in AI, you need to narrow down to something specific. Oh, I want to become an AI engineer. So you need to research about AI and the various dimensions. There's something I used to do for myself. Anytime I want to navigate a path, I draw maps for myself. I've drawn many years ago, I've drawn a hierarchy in AI. So the first thing, there's a way my brain works. My brain works linear, straightforward. So I must understand the flow. If not, I can't get involved in the game. So I drew flow several. I will go online, I will read, I will go, everything. I will try, okay, AI, breakdown, machine learning. So I kept drawing flows for me, for myself to understand, okay, under machine learning, I'm hearing there is a computational this, there is a, there's generative AI there. So which one is? So I'll be confused. I will come back again, I'll break the structure. I will go to AI. William say I will ask AI. I ask AI, help me draft out the categories. And when I began to draft out the categories, I can easily fix myself somewhere. You can't just say I am AI. What is AI? Oh, I am machine learning engineer. It really doesn't exist. You will discover that there are different types of machine learning engineers. You need to be type of machine learning engineer. I am an AI engineer. What does it mean for you? There are different types of AI engineers. There are automation engineers. There are those who write and build models. There are several types of AI engineers. So you need to understand what type I am. Once you figure that clarity, somebody said knowledge is everywhere. What is the moat? The moat is clarity. Immediately you find clarity, it becomes so easy to decide what course do I need to take? Who do I need to follow on LinkedIn? Now, I'm mentioning LinkedIn because that's the new school that we have. If you're not on LinkedIn, I don't know how much YouTube can help you that LinkedIn can't help you. LinkedIn is going to help you a lot as a professional when you see people doing a lot of things. Now, CEOs have come to LinkedIn. Everybody's posting on LinkedIn. Mark Zuckerberg is Jason is on LinkedIn. Everybody's on LinkedIn. Sam Altman is on LinkedIn. They're all posting. We're all trying to discover this together. Nobody's an expert of AI yet. We're all figuring it out together. What I'm posting on LinkedIn is helping Sam Altman somewhere. It's helping all of us. So we are all modeling together our knowledge and figuring out where this tech is taking us. If you are a product manager, there's something called AI product management. What does this simply mean? You have the domain knowledge as a product manager. You understand how AI works from the technical perspective to the GTM go-to-market perspective, and you figure it everything together. It will take you less than 2 months to become an AI product manager. It's different from someone who is not a product manager who wants to become an AI product manager. So I'll end by saying, if you're already a professional, you have an advantage. AI is not taking your job, it's asking you to upgrade. It's asking you to add more value to yourself to become something that the industry needs now. What will take you 3 months will take a start at 3 years to do. So there's a great advantage. And those who are maximizing that are moving from software engineering to AI engineering. They are moving from product management to AI product management. and they are moving from operations manager to automation specialist. And it's simply moving from one thing to what the industry is asking for now. So I'm just going to pause there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shasir. Thank you very much to the panel. We have drawn as much insight as possible from you. We absolutely appreciate you. I want to crave your indulgence. The questions that were asked in the chat, there are three questions that I asked in the chat. There are some that actually look like the persons will need some insights. And I'm just gonna look at the questions. We're gonna just see how we can burn through it in the next 3 minutes. Um, this one will be to Olumide. This person says, I'm responsible for AI governance in my organization, which is highly regulated in terms of privacy and PL in North America uh, processing. I don't understand what that term is, so in case you do. And the rates at which team members are using the tools is astronomical, with a lot of pressure to circumvent governance and basic SDLC controls. What is your advice for governance and compliance in a fast-paced space where the team don't consider you as a clog, while the team doesn't consider you as a clog in the wheel of success? Olumide, what do you think?
Yeah. So it is PII, personal identifiable information.
All right.
Um, okay. Yeah, I feel like I think that not being a clog is the wrong way to look at it. I feel governance people, I have always had a problem with governance and compliance. I mean, it's not like a running problem. It's just one day I want to do something and then they'll be like, no, you can't do it. I'm like, why? But in the end, you understand, why they're there. And I think that it is very important that you get into that role, assume it completely, and do
Mhm.
what needs to be done. One of the ways that I've spoken about governance in an organization right now is there are a lot of governance tools coming out there that allows, companies to be able to access AI safely with their data safe. I think it's worth it to invest in these tools. I think that the wrong approach will be don't use AI. I think the right approach is to say we will be the ones to push everybody into AI, but then we would layer the controls on top of it. I've seen organizations ban connectors. I've seen organizations that provided cloud to everybody, but you can't just use a random connector that hasn't been vetted. That
Mhm.
is a different conversation.
Right.
A conversation of blocking means people will find a way to go and do it outside and come, and your information is just out there in a way that you cannot govern. The first thing to do is to create a central governance layer, however you want to do it, and which means either you are the one driving the push towards AI in a way that is controlled and then your governance can rest upon it. Or you are investing in tools that allow you to track what is being done on laptops or track what is being done. But I think that that level where the governance people are at the front and center of let us adopt it, but in a controlled way. We need this software on top of it. We can't use connectors that haven't been vetted. We need to do Okta single sign-on. The only way you can get on is through the single sign-on layer, data controls on top of it. I think, and even a lot of the chat GPTs allow you to do that right now, at least most of it. So my take will be the front person making that push and try as much as possible to build it right.
Mm.
Blocking. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, Lumide. The last question I'm going to ask, I'm moving this to Williams. This person says, as a data privacy professional with some foundational technical roots, I'm seeing massive turbulence in the market alongside a huge spike in AI compliance and risk management needs. From an engineer's perspective, when you are building and deploying models, what is the biggest missing skill you wish your data privacy and governance partners had? Do you prefer working with a privacy analyst who can audit your code slash APIs directly, or one who deeply understands the macro frameworks of AI risk and data minimization?
Okay. That's a whole lot of questions packed in
Very,
one.
yes.
Yeah, very well. But what I would say is, I'll try and keep it simple, right? I would say one of the things to do is, one of the things I've seen a lot of teams do is, they build out their models, right? And then they have like a data security team, just kind of like audit what they've done, right? And I also love what Olumide said in terms of, because this also ties into slightly into what he had said in terms of the compliance layer, where you're kind of like driving things and, building more like driving the compliance layer and investing in the required tools that would ensure that you catch things a lot early, right? I know that in the last couple of months, especially in the engineering space, we've seen a lot of data leaks, cybersecurity attacks, from several organizations, across board, right? One of the things that people are now doing is to take the cybersecurity side of things a lot more serious, right? And there are also tools now that are coming up, to help you identify and isolate some of these things a lot quicker, right? And also audit your code a lot quicker so that way you can isolate things that come up as we go along. All right. So I think I'll just keep it simple. I think the simple answer right now would be to typically work with a professional, right? When you're done building out the code, where you have someone in your team that can carry out that audit, and if your team is big enough to invest in tools that can help you see some of those things before they go live, that's pretty much answer the question. Yeah, I hope
Mm.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our panel. Please, everyone, please give a great round of applause to our panel. You can use the reactions. If you want to snap, you can snap. If you want to give a clap. Yeah, thank you very much. Our panelists, thank you so much for being valuable to this conversation. We absolutely appreciate you for the knowledge that you have shared. Please have an amazing weekend. Oh, yes. And I want to believe that our members would have the privilege of reaching out to you on LinkedIn, right? Sharing connection. And for those who may have any further questions, reach out. All right. Thank you so much. Please have a great weekend ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Just give me a second. Just navigating. Awesome. That was a very rich session. Absolutely very rich. And for everyone who was bold enough to ask questions, thank you for stepping out with your question. I'm going to go ahead and also then ask my question. There is a question on the board. I want you to take a minute, 30 seconds to answer the question on the screen. We have 110 people in the chat. Yes. Okay. Okay, I've gotten 28 responses. Please let's engage with the question on the screen. The question says, how do you successfully position yourself as an organization's go-to AI expert? I want to know that we have been following the session. All right, great. Everyone who has answered the question has answered the same response. By actively redesigning broken internal workflows to save your team measurable time budgets. Basically saying, ensuring that you contribute to the success of the organization. All right. We're going to just go straight into the next phase of the conversation that we're having, and that is having the live demo. Before the live demo, um, we have an important conversation to have with Prince Ade Kunle, who is from the Lens to End team. The way I would like to describe Prince is, and this is from my own personal perspective, I've seen, He has been a serial strategic engineer, CTO, in every important and relevant way possible. And so it's joining the Learn to Earn team, coming from very rich background in experience. Um, but in this stead, he will be talking about the work that Learn to Earn is doing. I understand what the work is, and it's a very interesting one. It is sitting on an already successful model, but this time around, it is driving its results in a more optimized for it's driving its operation, the work it's doing towards a more optimized result. Um, my check, Prince Adekunle, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
clearly.
okay, great. Thank you so much for joining the call. And so, Prince will talk about Learn to Earn and the good work that they're doing and the opportunities that you can get access to by engaging the programs.
Thank you, everyone. And I want to first take time to appreciate the organizers, the panelists, and the audience for the time you are investing into to pay attention to what we have to say here. And listening through everything that has been said so far, I'm sure you agree that this is the best time, best way to invest your time, I should say. And it has answered a lot of questions that I know are in the minds of people who want to, who are bothered about their job or want to transition into the tech space, or they are asking the question if this is right for them. And I think that's where we can also bring in uh, where we thrive, because Learn to Earn as an organization is into producing more tech talent. We are trying to standardize the talent infrastructure. And the way we see it is looking into and also collaborating with employers to know what they will need, what they look out for in employees or applicants, and try to build people to surpass their expectation. So at Learn to Earn, we build and transform people from most of the time, and most of the people we have in our streams are people with zero knowledge in tech, and transform them into tech professionals. Most importantly, what we're focusing on now is building AI engineers. So the barrier of I don't have money, we we have removed that, because you don't need the money. You don't need money. It's tuition free. You can come to any of our campuses. The first stage is playing the game. It's a cognitive game and a puzzle just to understand your problem solving capabilities. So it has nothing to do with programming. We're not going to test you if you know how to code or not, because that's part of what we're going to take you through. And the learning part has been streamlined so that you don't have to learn things you don't have to bother yourself about. We're just teaching you based on whatever part you have selected, which is going to streamline what you have to learn. Another thing that has made this so beautiful is our pedagogy mode of learning, which is the peer-to-peer mode of learning. And you understand and reason that with us that the old way of learning things is not that helpful. We have people who are graduates, and if you ask me today that I should explain something in one of the major courses that I even did, let's say I even passed so well, I may not be able to remember, because most of us then did La Cram La Pour, and we're able to pass at that time. So the new method that has been proven, and we see that it's so effective, is peer-to-peer mode of learning, where you exchange knowledge among your peers. So at Learn to Earn, we are not going to be seeing more of lecturers per se. We have mentors who are going to guide you, but you're going to see people learning from each other. And the beauty of that is you get to learn different ways of solving the same problem. You can have the same project, but you see people solving it different ways, and it makes you more curious and make you more creative, because our aim is to also make sure you're a creative AI engineer. The first stage is making you a professional AI operator, which you can use so many tools, then we transform you to an AI engineer. So you learn Python from basics, and the learning is project-based, and you also have a community. It's project-based because we want you to have as much portfolio as possible. And it's not a project that you go to, though we learn how to use AI tools, we teach that, but we also teach you how not to rely too much on AI tools. It can make you productive, but you need to also understand the fundamentals so that you can be as creative as possible. If you use AI automation tools and you are being called to develop a solution for an organization that tool cannot solve it, our graduates are able to develop agents and tools because of how structured and how rich this curriculum is. And you also have a rich community of people who can help you. So project-based, and people get to audit each other's projects. So you have ownership of your learning. You are learning at your own pace. The program is traditionally between 6 months to 1 year. And the beautiful thing about this is we also have employers that we're going to place you. After your 1 year or 6 months, you get to do internship, which we're going to link you with the person you're going to, the organization you're going to do your internship with. Then we're also going to also place you if you're good, because we also need people who are serious minded. We're going to place you with an employer. So the hassle of going to look for a job has been breached. We had to just close that gap because we trained you, so we can vouch for you. And we are at the moment we have a lot of people waiting for our streams. And the best encouragement and motivation you can have at the moment is going to any of our campuses. I know you will have heard the buzz for Learn to Earn. We have one office in one of our campuses in Yaba, Abuja, Kaduna, and that's our goal. We also want to make sure that we are accessible as possible. Since it's tuition free, another thing we notice is people are finding it hard to come to Lagos or go to Abuja. We are going to launch our campus in Katsina. So we're going around, and in some cases, we have multiple campuses in a state. So another thing is we are not going to, stereotype you, because most of the people in the pool are people from other professions. And we make sure that you don't get intimidated, because you're also learning from people in the system, and you see like minds, and they're going to walk you through the path. So another thing I would like you to take seriously is the practical session after this, because we have a lot of people following AI influencers. You have so much overload of information and you don't even actually get to do anything. From the practical session, you can make sure that you understand what the workflow is, and make sure you replicate it and also document it in your portfolio so that employers can see what you're doing. It's not a crime to also post it on LinkedIn. If you can replicate whatever that is being taught on this webinar today, you can post it on LinkedIn that you built it, because you actually built it. So to know and learn more, just to not take so much of your time about Learn to Earn, you can go to learntoearn.ng, sign up, do your basic verification to confirm you are not a bot. Then you can play the game and get into the program. And I will stay around to also learn and answer any questions if you have any. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Prince. Does anybody have any questions for Prince that you may have regarding the program that they run? And it's okay if you don't have a question right now. Just like Prince has said, you said that you want to be on the call, right? Okay, great. So as the session goes on, if you have questions for Prince, you can as well drop it in the chat, and then we will refer it to the team. But please you can go ahead and engage the website and see the value that is being offered. All right. So we're going to move to the last program on the agenda, which is live demonstrations of workflows that you can adopt as a professional. And facilitating this session is of Sovereign Capital's very own Kamzi Okorafor. And how I'd like to explain Kamzi is Kamzi, or I would like you to think of Kamzi as an AI strategic builder, and then also an education enthusiast. Is very passionate about helping everyday people understand and leverage AI to create real world impacts. And one of the ways he has positioned himself is at the intersection of technology, creativity, and the way he likes to say is problem solving, by helping individuals build AI agents and automation systems and digital solutions that simplify complex processes. And so with anything he's going to share with you, this is basically what he does every other day. And so please, without further ado, help us welcome Kamzi. Kamzi, mic check. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay.
So how we're going to facilitate this session is pretty much similar to how we did it the last week for businesses. We will co-facilitate this. So Kenzie will lead us through the flows. And then I would butt in if necessary, only to maybe buttress or re-emphasize or set some direction for him to follow with regarding the demonstrations for today. So the center of the pillar of what he will be demonstrating is project management workflows, um, opportunity intelligence workflow, and then also something for creatives. And while doing for creatives, it would also show you how to build your own skill. There is a functionality in Claude that is called Skill that allows you to not to use the tool more as an agent, as a workforce, as against just a knowledge bank which you draw from. All right, over to you, Kanzi.
All right. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Like Mr. Napa said, my name is Kamsi. So before I begin with my demo, I just want to ask if anyone is familiar with AI tools, being Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini. I'm sure most of us would have used those, play around with it. Now, I'm sure from your using, you would have seen that I speak to this tool, they tell me, they give me a response, and then I have to go and do the work for myself. And I'm coming back and then I'm sharing feedback, right? That's an AI chat. And today, what I'm going to be doing is walking you through the difference between AI chats and AI agents. And obviously, like Mr. Doctor explained, um, what skills is, and then using those skills in this demo. So I'll share my screen. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it now.
All right. So this is an AI chart diagram and AI agent. So what's an AI chart? Right. So like I said before, you've used ChatGPT, you've used Claude, you've used Gemini. You ask a question and then it gives you a response, and then you have to do the work. And sometimes the response is not even how you want it. So you have to explain. You have to do, there's a lot of coming back and doing things by yourself, right? Meanwhile, an AI agent, working with an AI agent or an AI agent system is you just say what you want done, right? The AI agent remembers the context, remembers the data, remembers your previous conversations, right? Then plans towards the work you have given it to do. It executes the work, right? It also evaluates the work based on the standards you've set, and then By the time it's done, finalizing the output, it gives you the final output, right? And it's like, okay, this is it, right? An AI chat is question and answer, right? So it's not fully autonomous. There's a back and forth, right? While AI agent system is goal and result oriented, right? Now, how does an AI agent system work, right? And then what we get to see is this is an agent loop. Now, the agent loop explains what is going on within an AI agent system, right? So the first thing is when you ask a question or when you give an AI agent what to do, right? They don't just answer like an AI chat. It doesn't just give you the answer. The first thing it does is it observes, right? So it gathers information from um, what you guys have said before, the previous conversation, your prompts, um, the tools you have available, if you give it the documents to read, right? First thing it does is observe and gather information, right? And after observing and gathering information, the next step is it thinks, right? It analyzes that, okay, um, Kamsi has given me this work to do, right? And from what I know, this is what this work is all about, right? These are what is involved, this is what's involved in the work, right? So what do I need to do next? So it thinks, it evaluates, it gives a plan. So it thinks and then drafts out a plan on what to do, then it acts. Now, one of the major difference between an AI agent and an AI chat is an AI agent uses to is capable of working, it's capable of executing tasks. So you can use a tool, execute a task, and then let you know. Right. And then once it's done executing, once it's done acting, the next thing it does is evaluate. It checks the results. Right. Is this result what this user wants right now? Based on what this user has said, based on my observation, is this what the user wants? If it is, the loop closes and then you have the output. If it's not, it goes back to observe what other information do I need to gather? Where do I need to draw context and data from? And then loop is going over and over and over again till it's done, right? And then you're seeing in the middle here is memory and context. Now, memory and context is very, very important when it comes to AI agent systems because that's what keeps your AI agent grounded, right? This memory, what is usually in the memory is who am I working for? Right? What does this person like? What does the business do? Right? What's the business goal? Who is the business target audience? What do they do? Right? So memory keeps your AI agent system grounded. So he knows every single time I'm going to do a task, this is who I'm working for, this is what person wants me to do, and this is what they're all about. Right? And then for the third thing is skills. Uh, I'm sure most people are just hearing skills for the first time when it comes to AI. Now, what's a skill? Now, usually, I think most people still work this way is when you want something done, you go to your AI chat. Please create me a proposal. This is how a proposal should look. This is how it should be. Right? You go into giving much details. And if you're someone that have worked with AI, you work with AI frequently, you know that data is key. The more data and context you provide, the better the output, right? And then you're always putting in context and you're always explaining in your prompts. That's how people do it now, right? But for skills, you don't need to do that explanation every single time. All you need to do is call a command key, right? There's a command that you can set that you call it. Now, from the diagram, you can see that without skill, you want a proposal written, you explain your preference, you explain your tool, you explain the structure, and there's all that explained every single time. But with the proposal, I'm sorry, with the skill rather, you just type in a command and then it's coming out and then you're seeing your results without even putting too much energy into crafting a very nice looking prompt or doing prompt engineering. Right. And I'm going to demonstrate this today. Now, before I go into show you how a skill work or during the demo, I would like to explain because I would like to touch on prompt engineering. Now, when you're crafting a good prompt, there is a framework I like to think about. I call it RICE. And like I told the people here last week, it was inspired by my love of jollof rice. Sorry. So RICE. Now, what is RICE? When you are prompting, when you're trying to give AI a prompt, it's good to think in this framework. Now, what's R? R stands for role. Now, before you start, it's very, very good to give AI agents the role you want them to play. All right. So you are this, you are that, you are a creative strategist, you're a content creator, you're a financial analyst. Just put it in that, put AI in the framework of who is supposed to be thinking like. And then the next thing is I, which stands for instructions. Right. So the instruction is, what do you want me to do? This is AI talking to you. Okay, what do you want me to do? And this instruction, you can now say, okay, do this. You can do this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to the web and search, give me information on what's happening in my sector, right? Or I want you to go and read my notes, or I want you to, that's what you put in this instruction part. And now the next thing is C, and this C stands for context. And like I said before, context and data is key, right? You need to be giving your AI as much context as possible. And that's one of the things that make you stand out from an average user. You're providing more context than usual. So context is essentially additional gist that your AI would need to do the work diligently and perfectly. Right. And what we have here is this next C is constraints. Now for constraints this is what I don't want you to do, right? Which is very, very vital, right? As much as AI is growing, your AI is going to be writing content for you. It's going to be drafting out proposals for you, right? And drafting out emails for you. There are some certain things that you don't want your AI to do. Don't sound like this. Don't sound too robotic. Don't give me basic or generic outputs. That's what you put in the constraint. And then the E stands for example. Now, if you have someone or an output that you like, I'm like, I really want my AI to be giving me outputs like this. This is the part where you put the example. Right? This is what you want it to do. This is how you want it to look like. Blah, blah. Now, this rise is for prompt engineering. Right? So every single time you want to work, you have to type all this out in this format and in this structure. But instead of doing that, I can call a skill. Now, a skill is just me having a slash command, and you can see there are several skills here, right? So instead of me typing and explaining, this is what I need to do, this is how I need to do it, this is what I don't want it to do, this is an example of what I want it to do to look like, right? I can just type a skill. And now for the first pillar, it's project management. And I'm going to put you guys in a scenario. Now, I think every professional has experienced that scenario where you're done attending a meeting or stand up, right? And then the boss has assigned different tasks to everybody. Okay, on the meeting, you do this, you do that, you do this, come to do this, do that. At the end of the meeting, there's a meeting note. I have a work meeting note now on my Google Drive. I'm going to call a skill that acts as my project manager or my chief of staff, like I like to call it. It reads my meeting notes, right? And then it logs what tasks I need to do, and then scale of preference, scale of relevance. This is what is needed urgently. Now, skill here is co-staff. My agent, this is my chief of staff. Right. Oh, sorry, I think I forgot one more thing. Sorry, I need to explain what a project is. Sorry about that. Now, a project is the first form of what an AI agent is going to look like. Right. And for project here, this is my personal project to create new projects where I do brainstorm and create content. Now, what we have here in this instruction, I want you to think about it like policies, right? This is how this company behaves. Each project should serve as a workforce, as a company. That's how you should think about it. Each project I'm creating, this is a company where I'm going to have AI working for me, right? And this company is about cancer, for example. And this instruction is going to carry out, this instruction is going to have policies. This is who you're working for. This is what this company does. This is how you should speak. This is how you should respond, right? These are the mission, these are the vision of this company. And while for files, what I have here are essentially important documentation to my company. Right? As you can see here, we have this user.md contains details about me, right? Where I also have in these files, I have my CV because it's working for me. those are relevant information. And then in an organization, you can have SOPs, right? This is how our organization is structured, right? Just have different files that are very important, that will be very important to the company to run. That's what we put in this file section. And I want you to think about every chat session you're going to start. I want to think about it. I want to put in your head that this is a new staff I'm employing, right? Each chat session, I want to look at each chat session as a staff. Right? So each chat session, I'm going to call a staff that works for CAMSI to read the instruction, right, and know more about the company from the files and then do it work. Right. So we're not explaining every time. So you can see the entire agent's loop right here. We're not explaining, my name is Kamsi, this is what I do, this company I have, this is what we do, this is our target audience. Automatically just comes out, right? Reads all this, gathers the information, like I say, observe, gathers information, thinks, plan, then calls the right tool, and then the loop keeps going. So I'm going to go back to the cool stuff I was explaining. Right. So cool stuff, read my recent work meeting notes, right? And log it in the Batcave. So Batcave is what I call my dashboard where I see the list of tasks to do. I'm feeling very Batmanish. So I call it my Batcave, right? And that's another mindset we need to be when we're working with AI, right? There's no permission, right? You can just organize your stuff, have your structure, and then work with it. So co-staff, read my recent work meeting notes and then log it into the Batcave. I'm not prompting, I'm not going to complex prompt engineering. I'm just calling a skill, right? And we can see the entire loop working right now. So it's reading this skill first, right, to understand what's going on, which I'm going to explain how a skill works, what goes into making a skill. So this is my chief of staff skill, all right? This is what it looks like, right? So got your meeting notes, logging into Notion. Let me find the back key, right? Found it. So it's doing all this work by itself, right? So it's reading the meeting notes, and this is what normally an admin in the office should do, right? Read the meeting notes, give everybody their tasks, and you're writing down your tasks to know what to do. Once it's done, I'm going to show you what the back key looks like, right? And for the second pillar, what we're going to demonstrate is sector intelligence, right? Where we'll be showing how do I get, oh, okay, so it's done already. Right, so I'm working with demo data here, by the way. So these are the 6 stats we put on the back page, all into link. This is follow-up email, then Zenith Bank wants a research, right? Zenith Bank is the agent, and when you have time, this is what you should do. Now let's go to my back page and see, look into it. So these are tasks that will usually take me a couple of minutes or couple of hours to do, right? I'm having my AI agent staff just log these tasks for me. Well, as you can see here, so to do. This is my to do, this is in progress, this is done. And so for my to do, we have this with even additional context. So I know what I'm preparing for. So fix Zenith Bank agent prompt, send the tech bridge below up, right? I see my screen. Build the 5 deck, search Nigerian AI competitive. So these are tasks that is usually either assigned to one person or will take you hours to do. Right. So the next thing I'll be showing now is the sector intelligence. How do I get standard information on what's happening in my sector? Right. How do I, because we know that this, information out there, those information really affect the decision are being made, and those decisions affect our life. So as a professional, how do I keep myself updated in what is happening in my sector, right? To get relevant information and knowing when to move and how to move. Right. I already created a skill, right? Again, I'm going to explain what how a skill works and what went into creating the skill. Right. So I have a skill called sector intelligence. You know, this is on-demand sector intelligence briefing agents. Right. This is what it does. Just for you guys to read about what it does for out to contact. Right. So I want like TV or what's happening in the what sector should we use? Should we use I'm thinking agriculture.
Yeah,
Does
let's use
agriculture work?
agriculture. Let's use agriculture. And when we thought about this skill for others also to listen to hear is we were considering what for those of us who work in spaces where um the insights you need to gather, you may not find it on just one platform. That way you would have to comb different sources for specific insights. And you have to look at various either players or functions or opportunities or news, you know, all manner of resources and insights that are important for your decision making, how you structure out gathering that in one space. That's one of the things that we did think about for when considering what the skill should do. So I think it would be very interesting to see how what it will do for agriculture, where there's just not one stop shop for every, for information
Okay.
about it. Yeah, aside from maybe regulations and stuff like that.
Okay. So while this is running, let me explain why this idea of skill is so powerful, right? And what usually goes into making. Right. So when it comes to prompt engineering, I gave you a framework, which was RICE, RICCE, right? And that helps you or removes the stress of how am I going to write my prompt? What comes first? What comes next? Right? And that framework just guides you on writing a good prompt. Now, what framework, the framework I use in guiding me to write a good skill is called craft. Now, what's craft? Now, the first C is the command. Because for every skill to work, it needs a command. Like what is going to be said for me to be active? Like what's going to trigger me, right? And then as you saw with the true demo I just did, right, where it was a slash something, right? That's a command, right? And alternatively, I can just type a regular natural English and to still go because it knows that this is my trigger word, this is my command, right? And then the next thing is rule. This is why you can see that even in prompting and in skill, rule is very important, right? Because with rule, you are essentially streamlining the way your AI is going to think, right? You don't want it thinking generically, right? So with role, you're thinking like Kamsi's chief of staff, right? You're thinking like a chief of staff that has 10 years of experience. A lot of people typically put in roles, right? They're thinking like a chief of staff that work in Fortune 500 companies. That's how people think about roles. That's why I just fill in the role section. And now for A, we have actions. What actions is your AI agent supposed to take, right? Because it's all about doing the work. This is where you describe your workflow procedurally, like from step one, this is what you do first, this is what you gather in step one, then your step two, this is what you do next, this is what you gather, step three, this is what you do, and then finally the output. This is how you know you are done, right? So in actions, in this action space, you need to be describing your workflow step by step. Remember that I said context and data is key. So the more um, explanatory you are, right, the more data and the more information you give in this action, the better it is, right? And then for F, we have format. How do you want it to look like? What do you want the output to look like when it's done? What do you want? Do you want a CSV document? Do you want a Word document? Or do you want an interactive web page where you can see the information of what your AI has worked on? That's what you put in this format. And then for T, we have tools, right? And this tool is, like I said before, difference between an AI, one of the difference between an AI agent and AI chat is an AI agent has access to your tools. You can pick up the tools and do the work for you, right? So in this tool section, you let it know what tools are available for it to work with to do your work, right? And we can see with the chief of staff, he knew what to work with, which was searching for available tools, which is my Notion, right? As my chief of staff, one of the paramount tools you're working with is Notion, right? So it's not scrambling looking for okay, what tools am I working with, and then if you can see for this sector intelligence, let me see if it's done. The first tool we loaded was XR. Now, XR is what AI agents use to browse the web because the AIs don't look at websites how we do. So they need an external tool. The XR is what you use to search the web, right? So he knows what tool to work with. I think it's even done with his outfit. So we can look at this. Nigeria agriculture, right? Executive summary. Nigeria agricultural sector is right into that. These are information that you usually need to pay maybe an analyst to go and do. Right? I don't know how much this analyst charge, but I've seen people pay analysts for information reports. Give me an intelligence report on what's happening in the sector. These are market alerts and operating environments. Area prices in Nigeria have surged between this, and so time. Right? We also have it's giving me very detailed information. Can you imagine, even with the sources? So this is where if I need to do additional read up, I can just go and check it out. So Daily Trust, we got more information here from USDA Fast Lagos Spring. Food inflation rebate from 2.8 to 8.9. We also have leadership signals and industry intelligence. This is what President Tinubu reconstructed in Nigeria Commodity Exchange. Right, this is what this person is doing. Regulatory and compliance brief. Because as much as we like to do stuff for ourselves, I think one of the panel, Mr. Olumide said it that these regulatory guys will just come and tell you can't do that. Right. So you don't want to be on the side of you're already doing it and you have done it halfway and then they're telling you you're now finding that we don't allow that. Right. So that's where something like this also comes in. Right. So you're saying that April 1st, 2026, Nigeria announced this policy, right? This is what Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service is doing. Right. So you are updated as fast as possible. This did not even take me hours. It didn't even take me up to 30 minutes, and I'm having this much intelligence on my screen. This can affect decisions that you take. Okay, there's even tender and contract searches. Can you imagine finding out tenders online where you just go online and yeah, these are opportunities that someone in the agricultural sector can work with on the spot, right? Where FAO Nigeria issued active RFP for distribution of seeds. When did they do that? This is June 1st. Most people get this information by July or in October. We are getting this. If I had even run this skill on 2nd of June, I would have gotten this information. Right. So back to how did all this come out with just this? I did not even type, just telling what's happening in the agricultural sector, and then it's giving me this much information. How does that work? That's where skill comes into play. All right. If we're going to look, sorry, sign up. Do you want me to look into the background of this sector intelligence, or you want me to just go ahead and use this framework to create something for the design guys, the
Yeah,
creative guys?
let's do the creative one so that we don't, so that we can touch on that and still achieve the goal of demonstrating how to create a skill.
Okay. So we already have this framework. Now, something you must know is, like I said again, context and data is key. I need to hammer on that very well. Now, what we need to do here is give it as much information as we can. Now, what happens when your information is not all that, but you have the basic step? I want you to know that Claude can help you create skills. It's very important that you know that. So you're not writing the entire whole long thing of how your skill is supposed to function, right? So we can say Claude, use the skill creator to create a skill for me. Here are the details. So for command is what do we want to trigger this skill, right? And for this, we can say when the user drops a piece of content for design, right? Activates, oh sorry, activates this. Now for the rule, I can say you are a creative strategist with extreme, extreme design skills. Right, action. Action I want you to do is first things first. So like I said, you need to be specific as possible. So the first thing to do is you know what, I'm just going to first step, analyze the content. Right, analyze the content. The next step should be extract the themes. Right, and then the next one should be okay, extract the themes if provided. Let's do that. If provided, then the next one would be expand into a structured plan, structured plan. Then choose the best layout. Choose the best visual layout. Call the canvas skill. Okay, then call the canvas skill to create the design. All right. And then format. The format is what do I want it to return back to me, right? So the format should be a well thought out design and maybe a summary of what happened, what went behind the scene, and a summary of okay, let me say a summary of the plan. Now the tools to use is use the Canva tool, MCP. Right. So what we have done right now is as we just give it information. Now, imagine your typical graphic designer. What would you need to do? This is actually what you need to do. You first need to come up with the content. Your designer would have to, okay, this is the content. Are there brand colors in this content that I've been given? What brand colors am I using? That's extract the thing. Your designer would then have to create a plan on the typographies to use, right? Where to use what fonts to use. And then the next thing your designer will do is obviously create the design and then give it to you. Right. So we're going to teach Claude how to do that by itself using the skill. Now let's see how that goes. All right. So Claude even has the skill for creating skills. um, so like I said before, it's going to okay, writing the skill. I think what we're going to do now is so now it's going into more details, right? Canva content designer. That's the name, the description. Right, as you can see, it's writing out all those details for you. Activation signal. I did not put anything activation signal. Right? And this is the framework we want to be thinking in line of. This is going to help us streamline our input when creating a skill. And as a matter of fact, you can even do this using the voice note feature that we have here, right? Where you can just do a brain dump of what the output is like, what you want it to do, right? Literally everything that we have typed here, you can use your voice note to do a voice dump, and then Claude just organize your thoughts for you and create the skill for you. Right. I'm just taking longer than usual. Okay. All right, there we have it. So we have our Canva content skill. Sorry. What was built? Let's go into it. The trigger logic activates the moment someone drops any content, paragraph, copy, bullet idea, with visual design intent, even explicit intent count. No need to say use the word. No need to say use Canva explicitly. Right. So if I can say make a design for me, it already knows I'm going to use Canva. This is the skill I'm going to call. Right. So the 5-step workflow: content analysis, extract the core message, theme extraction, derive 2 to 3 design themes, structured plan, create a mini brief covering the format, then Canva execution, summary output. So we can install it, uploading the skill, or we can just click here and say save skill. Right. So this is the full. So you can see that what Claude created for us is essentially a more thick and context-rich version of what we typed there, right? But it's still following the exact same framework that we laid out for it. As elements, aspect ratio, visual hierarchy, color direction, typography, layout pattern. These are design terms, right? That I did not even, I wish I didn't know, but I didn't include it there. But I knew that is relevant to what needs to be done. So now let's use the skill.
No, of course.
Let's
So
see.
I want to say that just for the sake of demonstration, we will not go through the entire process of what it will take to reinforce the skill and ensure that it meets the
Yeah,
output here. Because obviously you have to still scrutinize what has been drafted out to ensure it matches your expectation and your workflow. But just for the sake of time, we're just going to demo with what has been provided.
okay. So let's do that. Slash Canva content designer. Right. You know what? So because I don't have the content right now, let me just say, you know what? Let me take something from here. This Nigeria agriculture. Let me use this executive summary as a content idea. So let's say I've gotten
That
this and I
was
want to
very
make a
interesting
post.
to see.
I want to make a post about this, right? So create a carousel design using this executive summary, right? Fingers crossed. Let's see what it costs. Okay, so it's doing the step 1, right? Which is analysis, right? This is design plan, LinkedIn carousel, da da da, and then it's going ahead to call the Canva tool. As you can see, this is Canva's logo. So Claude has come up with the design, it went through it, extracted the critical information, right? The tone, I did not specify tone, right? This is data-driven insights for decision makers. So it needs to be urgent, authoritative, and intelligent briefing, right? This is the audience. This is the platform that's in there. These are the teams to use. It did all that. Da, 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 da. Okay. So this is Claude planning with Canva, right? So for slide 1, the hook slide, we have this. Slide 2, we have this. Slide 3, we have that. Generate the design. Sorry, that's the error. Oh yeah, so there's always a caution, right? Because of data breach that has been going on, right? Is always very important. Let me just send it. You know that I'm fully aware. it's always very important to check the data that you're always sharing with these AI tools, right? Because of data leakage and then the permissions you're giving it and the extent of those permissions. That's why even in my prompting framework, I have something called constraints, right? Don't act outside this. This is what you should not do. Generative design, and all this is just with natural language, right? It's just text. I'm not, um, as you can see, I did not go into details of speaking the design language, typography, and all that. This is plain natural language. Uh, for carousel variant designed. So I don't know why this is not loading. It is breaking. Sorry. Let me refresh my browser. This is an internet problem. So usually once Claude is done with creating the design, right, it gives us the page. And obviously we need to edit and review, like we said. It's just a one-click stop to Canva. So I'm moving from what Claude has created to where's my output? So I think it's a network issue. Let me try on the desktop app. Guys, sorry about that. Sorry about time wasted. Let me start the conversation from there. Sorry. All right, please.
So it already generated the outputs now, right?
Yeah.
It's
These are
just
the
for us to
outputs.
see. Can you
Yeah.
maybe just try and load it
Oh, yeah.
instead? Mm,
Okay.
right.
Okay. So we have this. This is a very good design,
Yeah.
right? This worked on the team, right? So now I can now say, okay, I don't like the color orange. Use the color this, or I can just go to Canva directly and insert my name, change the theme, um, work from where it already stopped. Now, what this has done is it has moved AI from thinking for me, right? So there are different stages of working with AI, right? There are AIs that think for you, there are AIs that work for you, right? And there are AI that give you growth opportunities, like we did with the sector intelligence, right? That gives you space to grow, gives you information you need to grow with, right? So what we've just done in this demo is we've gone through those three different stages where we have AI that thought for us, right? And then the AI did the work, right? And obviously with intelligence, it's giving us information that will allow us grow. So I can just go to Canva and edit this. Bob's your uncle, right? And this is something that I believe everybody can start with after this webinar. You can just download Claude, start going about describing your personal workflows, right? What you do and the tools you use, Claude, right? Connect those tools to Claude and watch Claude do the work that you do, and let it do the work for you. That's pretty much it. I can take questions now.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much, Kamzi. Um, does anybody have any questions with regard? I mean, yes, thank you, uh, Aboro Akim. Please pardon me if I if I didn't do justice to the name. And Victor, thank you for giving the applause. Please, everyone, you can also give an applause to Kamsi. So if anyone has any questions with particular to um, you know, what Kamsi had also shared on made presentation on, you could go ahead. We are way past the time schedule that we have set, but it was very important for us to be able to deliver this value for you to see. The goal for this session was to, number one, provide you with insights and opportunities. Number two, help you understand how you should be thinking about AI. Number three, see what is possible. And also give you some framework to work with when you can, right out of the call right now, you can go straight to implementing on your own tools, your favorite choice of tools. Kamsi and I like to work with Claude. till further notice. I have personal reasons why I prefer to work with Claude anyways. Um, but in spite of that, if you have any questions, you can ask it now. And one thing that we have also tried to do, we made it available for the last session that we had. Number one, for those who are inquisitive about um finding the one place where they can gather insights about AI. All right. Because you obviously know that information overload obviously could cause fatigue in your learning process. Um, one of our panelists, Ushase, founder of AI Peers. You can go ahead and check AI Peers. They have lots of resources for acquiring knowledge about AI. And so if your goal is to just get foundational knowledge, you can always engage Ushase. If it is, you want to start out in AI engineering, go ahead and engage Learn to Earn, right? Learn to Earn and start your journey there. And then through the demo with Quenu AI, by Kamzi. You're seeing how exactly you could, just as a professional, leverage AI tools to optimize your capacity to deliver more value. The same thing that we had talked about, getting insights, expanding your knowledge, being a lot more productive and managing your workflows the best way in an optimized manner. You leverage the tools that have been that have been presented to you by Kamzi. And one other thing that has also been done is if you have a business, you are considered, for those who have said, oh, I'm trying to observe what part of the business can be automated, right? The work that we do as a business, or you're a staff of a company and you're thinking about what part of the work that being done can you automate. You can use the AI, this audit tool, business audit tool that has been created. It was also Kamsi that built the tool for you to leverage to audit your business and identify what part of your operations you can automate with AI. So you can also go ahead to leverage that. I want to believe that we have tried as much as possible to cover all grounds with which we could be thinking about exploring AI tools. And one of the things that I know is when you are working with a new concept, most people, especially in Nigeria, we tend to be, um, what's the word? Even though we are very enthusiastic about it, we try to be in our corner. But I want to say one more thing to you as you start this journey. It's good, for you to learn at your pace. One thing I do want to encourage is that you ensure that you are visible. One thing that I can give you for free. Ensure that you're visible and you're seen, and you're also networking with those who are exploring possibilities with AI, because the time that we are in now is a time of perceived value, right? And who knows that you have such value? That is where we're playing right now. And it's also one of the reasons why you're seeing even billionaires themselves are coming out of social media and say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is who we are. This is what we're investing in. This is how best to connect with us. This is how best to be part of what we're building, right? So ensure you're telling your stories, ensure you're networking, ensure you're engaging, and ensure that you're exploring all the value that you can provide. And we will definitely continue to create more value henceforth. At the end of this session, as the week goes on, we would reach out, we would engage with you to collect feedback. Part of the things that we also have as an organization, Covenant Capital, down the line is we are currently creating our courses that would help us provide skills, relevant skill sets. So those who want to do digital marketing, doing digital marketing leveraging AI. For those who want to learn data analytics, data analytics already is one that brought out AI. However, we're going to try and release courses that have an infusion of AI's optimization in its process, in order for us to just ensure that everyone who thinks they need a skill set, can find one relevant to their field, but from the perspective or from the angle of leveraging AI tools. So coming down the line, we have courses that will be released for free, for as many people who want to take advantage of those. So definitely look out to your emails, look out from your emails or emails from us, about opportunities that are being released going forward. And again, the Covenant Capital is an organization, created by the Covenant Nation, church pastored by Pastor Podru, to provide intervention programs and also run intervention programs, not just in digital skills, all the way vocational skill sets, business advisory, and every angle, right? To ensure that we are meeting the needs of both members and also the community with which our church operates in. All right. Thank you so much, for everyone who stayed on the call up until now, and giving us your time. And we absolutely appreciate you. And we hope that we're going to start recording some great wins once we start collecting feedbacks from now. And then do not fail to reach out to anyone who you're seeing on the call right now. You could tell them, hey, I joined from this session. I have a question, or I have this opportunity I wanted to explore. Again, make yourself visible. Please have an amazing rest of your weekend and a great rest of June. Cheers, everybody.